Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rosa Gonzalez Guarda, and I'm Associate Professor here at Duke University School of Nursing, and I would love to welcome you all once again to Durham. Before I have the honor of introducing our local plenary speaker, I do want to take a quick moment to thank the chair of our planning committee, Jessica Williams, who has done an incredible job with a successful launch of this conference. You know, we joke that this is 3 separate conferences, an in-person, a hybrid, and the live streaming. So congratulations, Jessica, for such a successful launch of the conference. Now on to the highlight of our afternoon. I have the unique honor of introducing Ms. Monica Day. Ms. Monica Day is a passionate, transformative leader, author, poet, and healing arts practitioner. She is the visionary founder and executive director of Stand Up, Speak Out of North Carolina, a nonprofit providing holistic services for survivors of trauma through therapeutic art. Ms. Day received her Master's of Science in General Mental Health Counseling and Multidisciplinary Human Services with a concentration in nonprofit management and leadership. In addition, Ms. Day received certifications in contemporary theory in mental health counseling and in public health. Monica has spent years observing, researching, and developing the program framework that is now utilized under the umbrella of Stand Up, Speak Out North Carolina, a 3-tier holistic therapeutic model with intentional behavioral modification, financial coaching, and self-care wellness. Ms. Day envisions ways to utilize the arts as a way to assist people with overcoming traumatic experiences. She believes art therapy paved the way for the emergence of an empowered woman. Day stands up and speaks out to those denied their own voice and passionately believes healing begins through art. Ms. Day exemplifies the theme of resilience and community building that is the focus of our conference this year. So please join me in welcoming Ms. Day to the stage.
Good afternoon. Can y'all hear me? Yeah. Oh, are y'all sure y'all can hear me? Yeah. All right. That's what I wanted to hear. I wanted energy, because that is what it's all about. It is an honor and pleasure to be here with you today. It is such a powerful moment that is happening that I have the privilege to be able to share with you. It is not a mistake. Do y'all believe like things really happen on purpose? With purpose? Yes. And so today I'm going to share just a little bit of spoken word, a little bit of my story, a little bit of my why with you as to why I do this work. I am a certified advocate for survivors and have been for over 18, 19 years, utilizing the arts, spoken word, dance, music, poetry as a way to connect with survivors, using mindful movement, art affirmations, and a variety of different therapeutic art components. In addition to being the founder and executive director of SUSO, I am also the proud CEO of Breathe Life Wellness Center. It's where we coach other professionals who are interested in integrative art therapy, as well as being able to work with folks who are trying to start and figure out how they start their businesses. We believe that it's important for individuals to not only just want to have a business and a vision, but also work on yourself first in your own wellness. And I'm a poet. That's my first thing. That's, I always tell people that this thing started with me doing spoken word. Anyone do spoken word, write poetry, creative writing? Used to? Okay, all right. Y'all will have to talk back to me because I talk a lot sometimes. All right, I am going to kind of walk us through, hopefully. Perfect. We went through this right here, so I don't want to spend extra time really talking about that. I really want to get to the kind of important stuff. So SUSO's mission, Stand Up, Speak Out, also known as SUSO, we focus on working with survivors of domestic violence and sexual abuse. And one of the unique things about SUSO is that we focus on a holistic approach. We believe that young folks and families who have experienced abuse, that there's a process of walking through that journey. And traditional counseling alone, while helpful, there needs to be other components, because oftentimes traditional counseling will just give you a couple of weeks or a couple of time frame. And for many folks who have experienced domestic violence, it sometimes takes years to walk through that journey of their own healing. We focus on working with children as well, children who have witnessed domestic violence in the home, because we believe that it impacts them just as much as it impacts that parent. So why do we exist? I don't need to tell a room full of professionals who do IPV work why an organization like SUSO needs to exist, right? Because we know the statistics. We know that even with the pandemic, how domestic violence really increased, right? And we start seeing a lot of that. So I won't really walk you through that, but I will walk you through why we exist. We want to create safe spaces at SUSO. We want to create safe spaces in the school. We want to create safe spaces for young people. What we have found in creating a lot of our programs, such as our summer camps and our mentoring programs, is that in those spaces where they're coming to have fun and we have these comfortable or we have these uncomfortable conversations, oftentimes young people find safe spaces in our mentors, and they come and they tell them for the first time, I was sexually abused, this is happening, I'm in an unsafe situation. And so we create these safe spaces with our mentors who have lived experience to work with our young people in hopes that we can prevent, that's the idea, is that we prevent this cycle from continuing. I won't go through our history. I will keep clicking, because we've been doing this for a while. We started in 2004. This was an idea, everyone, that I wrote on paper, an idea. And I tell people that if you have an idea and a vision, it can come to pass. I started this organization in 2004, and I really just wanted to give back in some capacity, give back to the community, give back in some way where we could create these safe, brave spaces for young people. I'll give you more about my story soon, and you'll understand a little bit more about my why. But in 2004, we wasn't a 501c3. I was not thinking about being a nonprofit. I just wanted to give back. I just wanted to use the arts to give back. 2004 to 2010, it was grassroots. It was a one-woman campaign out here, just going to any place that folks would listen. So churches, schools, universities, to talk about domestic violence and why it was important for us to continue to put this in the forefront, because we know how serious it can be, not only for our community, but also for the folks impacted by it the most. So just out for 10 plus years, or for 2004 to 2010, really just laying the foundation. In 2011, I did some partnership with Durham Parks and Rec. 2012, we did more continued partnerships with Durham County Library. And then we started doing partnerships with community colleges, where we did a program called I Matter. And that was really an opportunity for us to focus on campus-wide awareness and advocacy on local campuses. In 2014, we expand our support groups for women from Durham location all the way out to Greenville, Person County, Charlotte, and Greensboro, North Carolina. And these are support groups to provide safe spaces for women as well as children. 2015, we continued our work, and that's when we became a 501c3. I tell people that that's when like the real work really happened. That's when it got serious. And my role and my vision really began to shift. So I kind of moved from visionary to ED. In 2017, if you know anything about running a nonprofit and starting it from scratch, we had no funds, we had no money, so how were we going to do the programs, right? And so because I am a writer, because I am a playwright, I utilized my gifts and talents. And in 2017, I wrote a play called Purple Freedom, which sold out here at the Carolina Theater, Durham Arts Council right over here, and it sold out twice in 2017, and that was the jump start of our budget. We raised over $10,000, and that began some of our outreach programs that we offer today. 2018, partnered with schools. 2019, more schools and doing mindfulness and self-care in our local elementary schools, because we can even teach those young people about wellness as well, and safety. And then in 2020, our lives shifted, and we were prepared for that shift as we restructured our organization to do virtual one-on-one with survivors, providing group and therapeutic programming, and bringing on some of our very first staff. What do we do at SUSO? First and foremost is two kind of pillars that we have here: outreach and advocacy. So we do a program called Girls Speak Out, Project Speak Out, and Operation Speak Out. Girls Speak Out is that mentor component that we offer, and summer camp programs that we offer for girls 10 to 17. We have recently this year become more inclusive, so it's open to all youth. Project Speak Out, we do that in our school base, which is a virtual artistic and art intervention program. We've been doing that virtually since the pandemic, but we typically would go into the schools to provide support in the school system, helping young people to not only talk about tough conversations, peer pressure, depression, but also using art as a way and an outlet for them. And then Operation Speak Out is where we do our annual giving. Most of the time, this is where we give back to our families, and those families are the folks that we're serving internally, and then sometimes some of our community families, depending on funding. So we do this each and every year because so many people, don't always have the resources to be able to provide during that time. The other side of SUSO is the direct care program, and that is called EPIC, Empowering People, Inspiring Communities. And this is where we provide what we call therapeutic coaching, case management, and also providing support through our therapeutic groups. We have groups called Circle of Hope, which is a trauma-informed group, Breathe Life Youth Adult Group, and we also do Bold Economic Advocacy, and this is where we give up to $500 to survivors to help them to restart as they have left a DV situation. So my why. Why do I do this work? If it's okay, I'm going to move now so that I can begin to have this very powerful and liberating conversation with you. My why. Why SUSO? Why do I do this work? Whew. Because I'm a survivor. Because I am a survivor. And it's very interesting and not by mistake that I am here in this space with you today. I'm going to start with the poem, and then I'm going to walk you through my journey of why today is so liberating. This poem is called Dispatch 911. And this poem was written many years ago, and it really embodies my own story but also many stories of the folks that we have served. Too distant to be mentioned. Ripped into pieces of family secrets never to be broken. Hope and no after effects will affect her senses, but it did. After 26 years, hidden tears find their way to the surface. See, she had lost her courage because someone hurt her. Lapse of memory had her taking risk. Lapse of memory had her mind playing tricks, but no, she was starting to remember. The hit. The first time that he tried to kiss her and she clenched. At the taste of leftover urine that made her feel like she would vomit. Droplets of premature ejaculation made her hate him. Conversations between God and the devil made her lose her salvation. Devastated that someone who claimed to love her would make her a victim. Close kin, more like cousins, sneaked in while family members sat at the dinner tables reminiscing on the good old days, while children played in back rooms. They say the little ones are so innocent, so they dropped their overprotectiveness. Had older siblings and cousins watch over them while they pretended to be grown up, but someone was a little too grown up in the game of house. Shh, don't be too loud. Don't ever let this secret come out, and it didn't. Held it in, never to bring it up again. Buried it and swept it in the crease of an abandoned room, never to be resumed. But soon visions would show vivid pictures of little children who would never fully bloom. Confused because their souls have been devoured. And now another innocent child's soul has been devoured, and mama's not paying attention. Too busy listening to the latest gossip coming from the church pulpit that she missed her daughter's cry for her attention. She didn't even know that her child's soul was missing, wishing that mama would come to her rescue. But that child's 911 phone calls never got through. Lines disconnected. We're sorry. The number you called cannot be completed this time. Please check the number and dial your call again. And again, and again, and again she calls, but no one seems to recall the thousands of calls for help, the rebellious behavior, the suicide attempts, the running away from home, the skipping school, the unable to pay attention in school, the multiple sex partners. Did anyone bother to take the time to calculate the signs? No, they just brushed it off. Said this was just a phase that would soon fade away, so they took olive cooking oil, anointed her head, and prayed. But soon after that, they lost their faith. Took her to unfamiliar counselors who thought they could make her break the silence. But she was too far gone now. She was violent, juvenile delinquent, all because her guardian angel, AKA her mother, didn't pay attention. She just didn't believe that someone snatched her precious seed, took her to the 4th floor of the Marriott Hotel, and robbed her of her virginity, while she was in the same vicinity speaking in tongues, giving God the glory. But no one wants me to remember this story. And no one really wants me to tell this testimony, but I have to, because as you sit in this very place and listen to this poem, every second that goes by, a child is being abused. A son is left confused, a daughter is left internally bruised, and a mother is refusing the truth. This could be you. A child might be screaming for your help, for you to come to their rescue. Don't disregard it. Don't disconnect it. Don't press ignore on your cell phones, because that child may be screaming for your help because they're afraid and alone. So answer that 911 phone call and dispatch yourself to that son or daughter's location, because your voice and your presence might just be their savior. 30 years. I attended a church convention 30 years ago, next month, in this very hotel, in this very space here. I was sexually assaulted at 11 years old on the 4th floor of this very space in an open stairwell 30 years ago. My life shifted. I grew up in a 2-parent home, middle class, devoted Christian parents who kept me in church all the time. And it was the church that is supposed to be safe. It was here in this space 30 years ago that we attended a church convention in July of 1992. And there were vendors here, and I was snatched and took on the 4th floor in an open stairwell, and my whole life shifted. the little girl that was outgoing, a daddy's girl, loved to play with Cabbage Patch Kids and Scooby-Doo and all of those things, made great grades in school before all of the abuse, kickball and riding my bike and dancing and all that, my life shifted. And as my life shifted, I became a completely different girl. I became rebellious, running away from home, skipping school, just one bad choice and situation after the next. The church, they say, is supposed to be safe. And I have spent years of my life going to spaces to share my own personal story to hopefully help other people. I did not know when I was invited here where I was coming until today. It didn't even dawn on me where I was coming. Sure, we had put all the work together, but when it hit me, I said, oh my, I'm coming back to a place after 30 years, and it's not by mistake that I am here to tell this story to you today. Liberation and power, because what I'm doing now is showing up a transformative and empowered woman. I was stripped of my innocence and everything went downhill as I shared. I'm gonna walk through you some of the things. From this one situation that happened that shifted my life, I went from the rebellious young girl, from a B student to a rebellious young girl to, in my first abusive relationship, running away from home. Running away from home at 13, 14, just one bad choice after the next. And I explain to folks that oftentimes when there's a young person who has experienced trauma, two things happen. They get isolated, they shut down, they become promiscuous, one or the other. And after a while, looking and seeking of this void that was there, I found myself running away from home, skipping school, trying to find love or attention or whatever. Self-esteem is torn, so I'm looking for some type of attention, and I'm in an abusive relationship at 13. I'm a delinquent at 15. I'm in my second abusive relationship at 17. I'm pregnant with my first child at 18. One choice after the next of unhealthy decisions. And I spent years really focusing intentionally on healing. A lot of that healing came from writing, journaling, therapy, groups, and being in pure spaces with other folks who understood and identified with what I had experienced. For so long, I thought there was no one else. For so long, I thought no one else could identify with what I had experienced until I sat in groups. So my why, therapeutic art saved my life. My why, I come to spaces to share in poetry, in movement, and in therapeutic art to let people know that healing is possible. No matter what your story is, no matter what a person has experienced, healing is possible. There is various ways to get to that, and I choose to teach people to get there through therapy as well through utilizing the art. Art saved my life. So some forms of therapy that we use and therapeutic arts that I've used is drawing, music, theatrical, dance,